Hey YouTube, it's Andre, and today I'm going to be talking about comparing Army Bootcamp versus Coast Guard Bootcamp. Now, for those of you that don't know, I have been to both boot camps and graduated from both boot camps. So I have a really good idea which was harder. Was Army Bootcamp more difficult, or was Coast Guard Bootcamp more difficult? And so that's what this video is about. I wrote down in my notes on my phone the differences between both boot camps. So I'm going to start off with Army Bootcamp first. Army Bootcamp was extremely physically focused, and that was the main difference between Army Bootcamp and Coast Guard Bootcamp, I believe. It was just one of the first things that I noticed. At Army Bootcamp, they emphasize a lot on push-ups, how many push-ups you can do, how many sit-ups you can do, how fast you can run the 2 mile. And you're always running, you're never walking. And Army Bootcamp, there are no reversions. And if you are reverted, you really need to try either that, or you can't shoot, or you just don't pass your PT test, because they give you a lot of chances to pass your PT test in Army Bootcamp. What's really interesting is that when you quit in the Army, in Army Bootcamp, you don't leave your company. You know what I mean? Like in Coast Guard Bootcamp, if you quit, I didn't see you ever again. Like you were put in your own section somewhere, and I didn't see you. In Army Bootcamp, if you quit, like you watch everyone else graduate. So you have to stay there and you watch us all graduate, all the quitters, and they're the ones that serve us our food when we go out to the field or whatever. Because in the Army, you'll go out to the field, you'll sleep outside for like a week. You do that like on 2 different occasions. I think you sleep outside for like 3 days or whatever. The first time, then you sleep for like a week. Anyways, the people that serve you the food, because they have field chow, so you'll stand in a line, and when it's your turn, your platoon's turn. There's 3 platoons. Your platoon's turn. Then you'll go up, and the people serving you, you'll realize, are the people that quit. It's weird. I remember in Coast Guard Bootcamp, people would always complain about how tired they were and stuff, and I just remember thinking to myself, this is nothing compared to Army Bootcamp and the amount of sleep that you get or don't get. In Army Bootcamp, it felt like I just don't remember ever feeling that feeling at Coast Guard Bootcamp. Like, yeah, I was tired at times here and there, but not to the extent that I was at Army Bootcamp. They also, at Army Bootcamp, they really emphasized on weapons, so shooting or whatever, the shooting range. I got to shoot a lot of different cool guns and machine guns and stuff, so that was pretty cool. While in Coast Guard Bootcamp, it wasn't like that at all. PT test, and shoot, and just be in the right uniform, and you're gonna graduate Army Bootcamp. While in Coast Guard Bootcamp, one of the biggest differences was the memorization in Coast Guard Bootcamp was absolutely insane. So note this: in Army Bootcamp, you have 4 general orders. In Coast Guard Bootcamp, you have 11. Okay, that you need to memorize before you even get there. That's just step 1. You know, that's like week 2, where they start asking you questions and drilling you about your required knowledge or whatever. There's a lot of reading, a lot of writing in Coast Guard Bootcamp. You're gonna be in a ton of classes. Sometimes it can feel overwhelming, but you're constantly going to be studying. You're never going to, it just feels like it's never going to end, you know? How Coast Guard Bootcamp is different than Army Bootcamp is the implementation of talking, the certain way of talking. That was absolutely, if you haven't seen my first vlog, I talk about that, and I don't do a very good job. I didn't really do a good job of editing it or anything. Definitely gonna edit this one, so hopefully this is gonna be a lot better. But I briefly talk about how they make you talk, a certain way of talking, how you have to say your last name, state your company commander's last name, followed by a request to know, followed by the question. And that took, I think it took like 3 weeks for me to really feel confident in myself, and I remember just practicing that, so I wouldn't get, if I got called out, I wouldn't get in any trouble or have any attention put. They emphasized physical fitness a little, but not as much as the Army. Definitely not. Only wanted you to do the minimum, on your PT test, which was really weird to me because in the Army you were always expected to do not just the minimum, but your absolute best and exceed that, you know, just exceed all expectations. So that was weird. They stopped me once I got to, you know, the minimum or whatever. Another thing is you don't do any swimming at Army boot camp. In Coast Guard boot camp, you do a lot of swimming. Not do a lot of swimming. You do a lot of exercises in the pool and stuff. Then you finally do your 100-meter swim. And for people that think that was easy, like I did, you're in for a rude awakening, because that shit was fucking hard. Okay, I almost quit at the end, but I pulled through. That was difficult. We actually lost some people because of the swim. It was not easy at all. So the beatings. Okay, so in Coast Guard boot camp they have this thing called beatings, and in the Army it's called smokings. So when you're in the Army, if you're getting smoked, they'll make you do push-ups, they'll make you do jumping jacks, make you do sit-ups, stuff like that. In Coast Guard boot camp, I was expecting the same thing. I was like, man, you know, I kind of arrived to Coast Guard boot camp a little bit overweight or whatever, and I was like, this is a good opportunity to really get fit and lose a ton of weight. At Coast Guard boot camp, beatings were holding things in front of you for long periods of time. That was beatings. It was like 20 minutes at a time, 30 minutes at a time, I think. It wasn't really working out. It was more just pain in my shoulders, like just doing things, just holding weapons out in front of me, holding my canteen out in front of me. I remember thinking, this is hands down the dumbest thing I've ever done. I just felt like it wasn't beneficial to me physically in any way. I guess it was just like a mind game that the company commanders would use, the tactic just to mess with you. In Coast Guard boot camp, I think you were required to be able to sleep at least 7.5 hours. And when I heard that, I was like, what? That's insane. You know, I think lights out were like at 9:30. And wake up was at like 6. It was, I think, I can't remember very well, but I remember just thinking, that's awesome. You know, I'm glad I don't have to go through sleep deprivation again. So that was pretty cool. And now to answer the final question of this video is, which boot camp was more difficult? And in my opinion, Coast Guard boot camp was 10 times more difficult than Army boot camp. So yeah, guys, please like this video, please share this video, please comment on this video, and of course please subscribe to my channel. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it.